Thank you for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. I'm your host, Lorenzo Melcher, coming to you from PB Studios. And if everything went well, as I'm saying this, a nice new studio logo is appearing on the screen right now. So hopefully future Lorenzo puts that in and doesn't forget. Thank you, as always, for liking, sharing, subscribing, downloading to the podcast. Whatever you can do to help the podcast grow is greatly appreciated here. If you want to be on the podcast, just the Gmail is the nerdballpodcast at gmail.com. And you can do any social media. Just search the Nerdball Podcast. I am doing a bunch of podcasts here in a row. So fair warning, if you're listening to this, we may have been talking about something that happened weeks ago. But I am doing a ton of podcasts on one weekend just because I got busy stuff coming up. So bear with me there. Hopefully social media is happening. Again, this is 3 weeks from now, or 3 weeks ago that you're now hearing this. So hopefully all that stuff is going. Please interact with that. That's how people find the podcast. Commenting, liking, sharing some of your favorite reels or TikToks or anything else you're seeing. So again, thank you for everything you do for the podcast, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
Hi, I'm Kyle Sakowski, and this is the Nerdball Podcast.
This is the Nerdball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
Awesome, Kyle. Thanks for coming on my podcast this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
As you said your last name, I go, did I put his last name in my phone? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, good. Because for some reason I thought I put it as Sakowski. So
no,
I was like, oh man, we're off to a bad start.
It's actually like it's really simple. It's just Sakowski.
Like, yeah, some of those have extra letters in there.
Yeah, there's no extra letters. It's Sakowski. That's it. Very simple.
Yeah. So you moved down the street in our house. I don't know. It's been about a year, maybe a little more, right?
Coming up on 2.
2 years.
Yeah,
okay.
Coming up on 2 years. So January 2024 is when we closed.
Okay. I always I think I've talked to you about it before. Since we've lived in our house for 10 years, and there's probably been 5 different owners of that house. And I was like, what is wrong with that house that people are just in and out immediately?
No, there's nothing. Like we had some major construction, as you know.
Yeah.
But that wasn't, no one knew about that until it happened to us.
Yeah.
So, a lot of remodeling.
No ghosts?
No ghosts. No ghosts. Like, it's actually a really, really quiet house. Like,
All right,
it doesn't
good.
creak. It doesn't do anything like that.
Nice.
So, finished basement too, which, it's not the greatest finished basement. It's definitely stuck in the 70s.
Yeah.
But it's still a finished basement nonetheless. But no, I moved in down the street from you, and I think Mike told me about you.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife works for Perrysburg Schools.
Okay.
And so he was like, oh, the football coach lives right down the street from us, and he has a podcast. And so that's when I was like, all right, the next time I see you, I was going to introduce myself.
Yeah.
I think the time we introduced ourselves is you were asking if we wanted to get rid of any of the hostas that we were pulling out.
Yeah.
Because we had to move all of our landscaping. And I'm like, dude, I got to keep everything right now. Like, just in case. Just in case.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Nice, man. So I always start the podcast. I always ask everyone, what is something you're nerding out about? Something you're really into. It can be something you just recently started, something you've always done, TV, movies, baking, whatever. Just something to get you away from.
I'm a pretty simple man.
Yeah.
You can wrap it into sports, fishing, golf, and family and my dogs.
Yeah.
That's like all I do.
I think, okay, let's take out family because I think that would be an easy number one. If you had, all right, Kyle, you have one weekend to do one of these things. What would it be? Because they can be like, you can make trips around fishing and golf.
Yeah.
And,
No, we've been on multiple trips this year for golf. Fishing, not so much. I had a partially torn rotator cuff that happened in March. I didn't want to go see a doctor and get it taken care of. So as fishing was out of the question for a while, but I did golf, which was weird. Just maybe the extension of the arm.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So haven't been able to fish any tournaments. I don't know. Right now I'm back on the fishing train. I went fishing yesterday, and I that's all I can think about.
Where were you fishing? Somewhere illegally?
In Ohio. No, not illegal. Not illegal.
You don't want to tell a spot. It's like a
can't.
hunter's, right?
Yeah.
There is a
It's
spot
in
I
Ohio.
have. Okay,
It's
all
Ohio.
right.
I mainly fish in Michigan.
What were you fishing for yesterday?
I was fishing for smallmouth, but I could only catch largemouth.
Okay.
So,
all right. I am very much not a fisherman.
No?
I didn't grow up doing it. I have a lot of friends who do it, and I'll ask them questions about it. I've been on a couple charters. One of my buddies His name's Zach George. He runs charters.
Okay.
So I went on when my son was he was probably like 5. We went on a mommy for a walleye run.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple times, but it's just not my cup of tea. But,
Yeah,
but it is interesting to me.
There's a science behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. It's not. I tell people I go fishing and they think, oh, you just sit on
Yeah.
the bank. And,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've like looked into my garage, but like I have 2 kayaks in there they're called Old Towns.
Okay.
And they're pedal drives.
Yeah.
So it's not like your standard like paddling
Yeah.
kayak. Like you're standing up in it. You know, they weigh like 120 pounds a piece, and you're standing up and fishing, and
Yeah.
you know it's almost like a boat, but it doesn't have the expensive aspect of having a boat.
Okay.
Which is really nice. So. I do a lot of kayak fishing tournaments, and a lot of my buddies have boats, and I'm not in my point of life where I need a boat right now. I think it still keeps me active. You know, it keeps I kayak probably 10 miles every time.
Okay.
You know, I actually go back and forth to spots. So, there's a science behind it though. You
Yeah.
know, it's where are they at? What's the weather like? What's the wind doing?
Mm-hmm.
What's the water temp sitting at? What are you fishing for? So I was fishing for smallmouth last night.
Yeah.
And I could not catch a smallmouth to save my life. I caught like six or 7 largemouth.
See, as a person who's not fishing, like I can understand how what your target is, and you're not hitting your
Yeah.
target. But it's still, I feel like it'd still be like, is it fun? Like catching a fish, reeling it in, and then you get to you're like, gosh dang it.
So, all right. So where I was fishing at is very deep.
Okay.
So you typically don't know until about like you can see it, and the water's super clear. So you can typically
okay.
see it. But I went out yesterday. So normally I always have like this standard when the last probably 10 years of my life have been dedicated to fishing, whether
Okay.
that's fishing tournaments, whether it's just fishing with friends. I helped start the University of Toledo's Bass Fishing Club.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, me and a couple buddies who, my one buddy's actually getting married next weekend, which is awesome. And so I've only fished 3 times this year, which normally that's what I do in a week.
wow.
And typically a year because of my shoulder. And so we went for my buddy's bachelor trip a couple weeks ago.
Slide that mic a little closer.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me. There you go.
We went to my buddy's bachelor trip a couple weeks ago, and he's like, hey, we're just going to fish and watch college football. I said, great.
Perfect.
And so I was a little hesitant about going fishing because I was like, I just don't want it to ruin my trip. I don't want my shoulders giving out, whatever. And get on the boat 3 days in a row, and I'm having a blast. Like, we're not catching anything big. Like, we're just having fun with the boys,
Yeah.
and that's what it's about. And there was no competitive aspect to it. And I almost feel like I needed to step back from fishing to, like, really grow my love for it again. So yesterday when I was going out, I was saying to myself in the car, I said, all right, what are your expectations? Because previously it was like, if you don't catch 10 fish, it was probably a bad day. And catch one really good one, right? Really good 4-pounder, 5-pounder. And so I said to myself last night, I said, okay, you haven't fished here in over a year. This is a very difficult place to fish. Like, it's not easy at all. I can fish it every day, and it changes every day. You have no idea what the water temp is. You're going in blind. No one that you fish with fishes this spot. It's a very private area. It's public, though. So I was just kind of processing what the goal was, right?
Yeah,
like, is it just to have fun? Like, I'm going out for 3 hours. What's the goal?
Yeah.
And I said to myself, if I catch 5 fish total, or one really good one, or like 2 decent ones, 2 3-pounders,
Okay.
I'm really happy. So I have 3 different goals for myself. And I'm out there for probably 5 minutes, and I see this. I see a fish, and I start, like, my adrenaline pops, like, it just goes, and I go, here we go. It's a good smallmouth. I see him roaming, and so I cast towards him, and I see like 2 or 3 other ones, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Got a little too antsy, hooked it. I popped it right out of its mouth, and picked it up, flashed on it. I was like, shit. All right, so. Can I swear on here?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, because I
Absolutely.
swear quite a bit.
No, I always tell people when they ask that, it's a good question.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, I want people to be themselves and
Yeah.
I have to think about what they're saying.
So then I get to this spot that's probably, I don't know, a quarter of a mile from the ramp. Big rock pile is 20 foot down. And I go, you know what? If there's fish here, if there's fish that are biting, they're going to bite right here. This is my go-to spot. This is where I always start the day when I do come to this place. And sure enough, 10 minutes in, I hook up into one good one. I was like, oh, here we go. And I'm just happy, right? And so it's going to weave back into what you're saying.
No, I get that's
So-
great. This is great.
I hook into them. It's a good one, about 3-pounder. And I'm like, all right, like this boosts my self-esteem a little bit, right? Like I'm taking a step back, getting back into it. And so then I hook up into another one within about 5 minutes after that. And the bite kind of died off I fished this area for an hour and bite died off. I started bouncing around the entire lake and couldn't catch another fish to save my life. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to that spot and I'm going to make my way in towards the ramp because it's directly in front of the ramp. So that's what I'm going to do. Get on there, catch 4 more fish, like almost immediately. And then I start making my way down, start throwing some topwater. So everything is normally different. So back to your question where you're like, remind me, it was like, are you happy when you're...
Yeah, because like for me, if I go out, like, it was like, because I don't fish, if someone's like, hey, you want to come fishing? And I catch one, I'm like, oh man, that was great. I had a lot of fun.
There's some expectations to it. There's some expectations because there's like personal pressure. Like it's my own internal pressure that of like,
well,
you've dedicated your life.
And your wife's not going to be like, you didn't catch any fish?
Right. Well, I typically don't keep fish.
Well, correct. I'm just saying, like in general, the story.
Yeah, but no, she, I text her, it was a rough day, and she's like, Jesus, like, she's disappointed in me. I'm like, I'm not even bringing home food, but like, people are mad at me. My dog's disappointed, my cats are disappointed, and so, there's different expectations, and I've made this transition in my own life, and I think everyone does at some point. Like, there's different ages of your life you start maturing and start realizing like who you are. And I'm kind of going through a transition right now of last July, I took a week off and I fished every single day. From morning to dawn for 7 days straight, I just fished. And the smallest bag I had, so a bag in fishing is your best 5 fish of the day. And it has to be over 14 inches because or over 12 inches because that's a keeper. Okay. Maybe it's 14. Oh, that's bad. I don't know. One and two. I don't. None of those are keepers to me, right? Probably should look that up. But I don't keep bass, so it doesn't matter. But for a week, I fished, and the smallest bag I had was 20 pounds, which is averaging, 4 pounds of fish.
Yeah. Okay.
And the last day I fished, which it was like storybook, Super Bowl ending for the week, was I caught a 6-pound, 10-ounce bass, so largie. And like that's a very big bass for this area of the country. Okay. Very, very large. Typically, you don't see many bass getting over 5.5. Like it's just they're a lot harder to catch, a lot more elusive. Yeah. And I think that just was like the peak last year. Like I kind of like sat back on my way home and I was so happy and I was like, I think it was a 25-pound bag like that day, which is insane. And I just said to myself, wow, I don't know how I'm going to beat this. And then I somehow dove into golf so hard for a year. Like, I mean, it's so hard. And I was into golf prior, like all through high school and middle school. And even elementary school, I was a golfer, and my uncle golfed, and he was a very good golfer. So I almost felt like I was falling back into my roots of like, oh, I'm just falling back into what I originally was obsessed with, right? Yeah. And I had actually had a channel on YouTube called Obsessed Tackle because I was producing like fishing content because I have some sponsors and they've dropped off because I haven't been fishing.
Sure,
but,
I bet.
Can I give them like two? Like one of them a shout out. Sawgrass Fishing rods. They're the best fishing rods in the country. American made, which is awesome. Small company down in Texas, and they take care of me. And nice. I sent them a text, and it's always nerve wracking when you're like, "Hey, I'm actually like I can't fish. Like I can't, or you can't do something to like bring in like that revenue for them." And they responded back and they were just like, dude, you're fine. Like, do you need a shipment of anything? Like, do you need anything to give away to anyone? Like, and I was like, no, I'm good for right now. So kind of deep dived into golf. And
do they want to be a sponsor of a tiny podcast?
They sponsor ours. I'll talk to Chris. Actually, I need to call Chris today. So that'll work out. Yeah, so that's kind of weaving all around. Yeah. But prior to last year at that peak, I was stuck in the mindset though of there's expectations and you have to catch this many fish and you have to catch this many pounds and you have to do this to say it was a productive day. And I like needed this break, and I was fishing with two guys, my buddy Malachi and my buddy Tyler up north for his bachelor trip. And Tyler is one of the best fishermen I've ever met. Now there's a handful of people that are better than him, obviously, but when you talk about just like someone who just knows everything that there is to know, he has the knowledge. And I'm like watching him fish when we're together, we're fishing together, and like he's like content with catching small fish, like he's just trying to have fun. And I'm like, I lost that. I lost that have fun. It like this isn't my life. This is my hobby. And so I'm coming back around to, yes, fishing is always fun because you're by yourself typically. You're finding peace in whatever you're doing, right? You're out in nature. So it's emphasizing that. So last year, no, it felt more like not as fun. Then golf turned into like super fun, like, because it was newer, and now golf is just frustrating. It's
so a few questions. So first of all, that was a perfect response to that question, a nerdout question. First, when you caught that big fish, would you say 6.5 pounds or something?
Yeah.
Right. So at some point there is a whatever you're doing competitively, there is a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. Like you get to this point, you're like, oh man, this is awesome fish. And then, but to me, it's a terrible thought, but a lot of people can't help it. If you're at a certain point in your life, terrible thought to be like, oh, this is great, but how am I going to now do better? Like, man, you just be excited for a little bit,
Yeah. So that's what, and that's like, I think that's one of my problems with myself. And like, that's something, again, that transition I was talking about, like in life, of like my mentality is trying to change, of like not having control, of like, it is what it is. Like that, sure, that could be your peak, but that doesn't mean you have to stop.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't mean you can't stay at that level.
Yeah.
I actually have the video of my reaction while catching the fish. Like I turned the GoPro on late because I knew it was a big fish.
If you want to send that to me,
Yeah,
I can put it in the podcast.
Yeah,
like,
I'll send it
around
to you.
here.
So like you can see like the genuine excitement.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to a buddy the other day because he was like, "Why did you start golfing so much more?" And I was like, I explained them the story, and he goes, "But like, are you happier?" And he asked the question. He's like, "Are you happier after fishing or you're after golfing?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's always fishing."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I can go out for 4 hours and play with the boys, and like there's always something that you can reflect on and going, man, I could have scored better. Man, I could have done this." With fishing, sometimes it's just not going your way. Like sometimes you got pros that go out there and they don't catch any fish, So there's a lot more variables versus golf. You have to really it's on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and even my wife will tell you I'm a much happier person when I'm fishing. Much happier person.
There's this video. It was a TikTok I saw. There's a guy was golfing. It was either his girlfriend or his wife. He had a bad shot. He goes, I'm going to kill myself. And she goes, okay, we don't say that.
We don't say that. We don't say that. Yeah. My favorite thing, like my favorite video, and you might edit this out. It's fine. But he's like, it's like when you hear your buddy say something under their breath, like after like a bad putt, and he's like, God, you should be put on the predator list. And my buddy's like, what are you talking about? And then the next one's like, God, you should have just stayed home and did finger painting with your own diarrhea because you're terrible. And the guy's like, what are you saying to yourself? Like, in golf is like that. Like,
it's just in your head, man.
Golf is so mental that I don't know how you get to the level that people are. Like, I have a buddy who's a scratch golfer, Jake. He's an amazing golfer. I don't know how he does it. Like, he hits a bad shot and like he just can bounce right back. Like it's nothing. And like but I guess it's different because I can do that with fishing. If I'm fishing
that happens
in
in everything, right?
If I'm fishing a tournament and I lose a fish, and I'm struggling to just get 5.
Yeah.
I can just bounce back. It's disappointing, but like you got to keep grinding. I don't know how to do that with golf. I'm trying to find the video.
Well, it's funny to me because that's it seems like it'd be a learned thing where you can do it with everything, and maybe it is because of you were golfing for so long, or you've golfed since you were a little kid. Like maybe it's that plays into it. I don't know, but I was just having this conversation with my quarterback on my freshman team. Like, look, man, you're gonna make mistakes. Someone's gonna run wrong route. You're gonna throw a bad ball, a tip pass, all this stuff. But you gotta be able to go to the next one and next one. And he plays defense sometimes too, and we can see it out there. Like, look, that play happened 6 plays ago. Let's go, man.
And I think it depends on like what the sport is, right? Is like for football, it's reminding him like you did everything right. You can't control what your receiver running the wrong route. That's on him.
Yeah.
You did what you were supposed to do, right? You looked for your first option, or you had to check down. Golf, if you mess up, that's on you. There's nothing else that you can blame.
Yeah.
You can hit different shots if it's windy. If it's rainy, maybe you shouldn't be golfing because it is what it is. For fishing, though, there's so many variables, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so many variables that can change overnight. The water temp can drop 5 degrees overnight, or it can become murky, where if it's clear and it's murky, like, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, or even if it's murky water and it turns to clean, where it's like, it's been murky for 3 months. These fish are used to that.
Oh, okay.
So, there's so many more variables. So fishing
yeah.
is always like, I don't know.
And how come you've never kept fish? You've always just
I know we'll keep bluegill and like crappie and perch and walleye when we go for them. But the primary species that I fish for is bass, and I don't,
and
they just don't taste good.
Okay, and why is that? Is it just because they put up a good fight, or why do you like to fish for them?
Yeah, it's just the fight. It's the chance to catch a big one.
Yeah.
Like and I enjoy fishing for smallmouth a lot more than largemouth, because smallmouth fight harder. Like you can have a 2-pound smallmouth that fights like a 4-pound largemouth.
Okay.
Like I don't know. It's just their tails are huge, their dorsal fin. But yeah, I don't know if that bass is just, it's competitive. Like it's competitive nature. It's a sport fish. Like they're smart, but they're dumb, which is kind of nice. It's kind of a good mix. If I could do one species for the rest of my life and not be completely bothered by it and have a completely blown shoulder, and this is even without a shoulder issue, would be muskie. Muskie is like one of my favorite fish to actually catch. They're big. They're toothy critters. Like they're so much fun to catch, and they're a hard fight. And they say they're 1 in 10,000 cast, but there's a couple lakes up in Michigan that
there's a lot of them. Oh,
There's a lot of them, and you sit to these certain spots. There's like 4 spots, and just throw like a deep diving crankbait that goes about 20 feet, and you're just it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
What is it about hunters? I know do this too. I mentioned at the beginning. What is it about, like, here's the spot, I don't want anybody to know about it?
Well,
and I understand like saying it on even my podcast isn't super popular, but I understand that part of it.
Yeah.
But do you have you gone here with your friends? Or are there places where your friends don't even know about?
No, there's spots that they don't know. Like my location is not shared with any of my like guy friends that fish.
Yeah.
I share my location with quite a few people, and like I have Snapchat. I don't really use it, but like that location's always off. And my one buddy Malachi, he always forgets to turn his location off when he goes fishing. And so like somehow I'll end up on the map of Snapchat, and I'm like, see, he's in the middle of the lake, and I'm like, your location's on, and he's like, oh shit. But like there, it's like gatekeeping like your favorite food spot that you don't want too busy because you love being able to walk in, or you gatekeeping your favorite dive bar, right? Like, not because you want to harm the business, but it's like, the clientele that's in there, and you don't want it changing. And so when it comes to fishing, people are very negligent. They're destructive. They're filthy. So the places that I fish are very clean. You don't see trash kind of floating in the water. You don't see anything like that. And it's kind of keeping that, like, conserving that like nature to not be ruined. Also, some people do keep bass, and that's their right? They have a fishing license. They have the ability to keep bass as long as they're, the legal length. But people take 4-pounders and 5-pounders, and they'll put them in their own ponds, or they'll go home and eat them, and so you're taking that out. And the problem is you need those big fish to spawn, which is mate.
Yeah.
You need those too, because then it passes on those genetics. Not every fish is going to get to like a trophy size fish, so it's important to remember, like, no, like we have to conserve this. We have to make sure that these fish are, being treated well. And, some people, typically younger, throwing fish, they think it's funny they catch it, and to release it, they throw it up in the air, and it just causes mayhem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also, I don't believe in it as much, but there's this thing called fishing pressure. where if the spot gets fished a ton, constantly like seeing baits, it becomes a lot more challenging to catch fish because they're seeing stuff all the time, right? So it's kind of like you run the same play in your offense,
Yeah, okay.
every single game 5 times. That's probably going to be on the scouting report of watching that lineup, right? So the spots that I really gatekeep are spots that I catch very good fish.
And do your friends make fun of you, or
No,
like, do you guys do
'cause
that together?
Yeah, my there's spots. I have one buddy who lives up in Minnesota now, Ben, who gatekeeps every spot. Like you can go fishing with him, and he'll say, "Just meet me at my house," and he'll never tell you where you're going. He'll tell you what to bring and what the conditions are going to be. He will never tell you where he's going.
But you're not even in Michigan or Minnesota.
I know. No, he won't. He won't. He gatekeeps everything.
Wow.
Like, and I respect him for it.
Sure,
Like, if you go fishing with him and he takes you to, A, B, C, D spot, he's got no problem if you fish it. But he's gonna say like, "Hey, keep this between us. Don't bring any more people." And I had a spot up in Monroe, Sterling State Park. It's a massive park that it's connected to Lake Erie, where you launch. If you're driving in, you launch off the left side. If you go to the right side, there's like a break wall that you can walk through, and there's a couple lagoons. And I've had a lot of success there. I used to live 5 minutes down the street, so like it was a lot of like after work fishing, like after school fishing. Taking a kayak out and finding a couple spots. And, I was a little bit naive to the fact of I thought that was very selfish to gatekeep. Well, that spot has never fished the same.
Oh, really?
No. I mean, it might have been even me because I'm fishing it 5 times a week, throwing the exact same thing. But it could have been me too. I don't think it was. I won't take blame for that. But I do know I took people there who then took their friends, who then their friends went. And then, I'm out there one day and there's a tournament going on Lake Erie. And I was just casually fishing. And there's like 4 boats coming through this canal, like to the back part of the lagoons. And I'm like, I've never seen boats come back here. And then I realized it was my buddy and his buddy leading the pack. And the rest of the people that were coming in were all their friends. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I can see there's havoc that comes from it. Now the main spot I fish up in Michigan, Irish Hill area, it gets fished pretty hard, but like if you don't know what you're doing, you aren't catching fish.
Okay.
So I don't like. I'll bring friends to that spot. That maybe like if I'll ask people, do you want to catch a lot of fish or do you want to like chance of catching like a big one? And if they say they want to chance of catching a big one, we'll drive an hour and a half, and we'll go and try to do that. If they say they just want to catch things, I'll take them right down to Delta Reservoir, Upper Reservoir. Okay. It's got a lot of fish in it, smaller fish, and
that's why if someone's like, "Hey, you want to go fishing?" I said, first of all, I do enjoy being out there. Like if I don't catch anything, whatever. But the past few times I've gone with my son, when we haven't gone in a while, when he was younger, there was actually a picture of him. We were over at Providence Metro Park. I used to work. That was my first job at the Metro Parks right by the dam. Okay. And he was in just walking around in the mommy, because it was so shallow with his little fishing pole, catching bluegills that are probably like 3 inches long. But he was having a good time, and I can do that, and I can, But there's nothing, and it's funny because when you talk about fishing and you talk about golf, like I can do those things and be terrible at them, and I'm okay. Like it doesn't bother me at all.
Golf frustrates me to be bad at, but it's
I know I'm bad. I know I'm bad, so I think that's why. Like because I never golf. I think I haven't. I probably. Last time I went golfing, I was I don't know, probably 4 years ago or something. Like I don't golf a lot, but my friends are like, "Hey, you want to come do this?" Like, sure. I know I'm terrible. They know we're all terrible, but it's just a fun time.
Yeah, it's just going out with the boys. Yeah, and, that's where I'm hoping my mind shift can change into.
You know what changes these things, and I felt that big time is when. So I was like really into sports. Now I was never like some of my friends were like, if their team lost, like they were done for the rest of the night. I was never like that.
That's how I am.
So, but I was into it. I'd watch Texas, the Cowboys, whatever. I'd watch this, and then I would be bummed, And then once I had kids, like I was still bummed, but I'm like, all right, well, now we're going to go for a walk, or we're going to go outside
Yeah.
and play. Or there was times I missed the Texas-Oklahoma game because we were out shopping at Home Depot for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Like,
Right.
so that, and I don't know if it changes for everyone, but it changed for me where
Yeah.
it's still important. And now it's starting to get up there a little bit more because now my son likes all the teams I
Yeah.
do. So we have this thing
it's
together.
bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that I definitely saw a shift there.
Yeah.
Once I had kids in my mind, like, all right, well, there's definitely more things there's things that are more important now.
Yeah.
And it's didn't say something I said like just came out and say it. I just felt it.
Yeah.
At one point, someone called. I think a couple podcasts ago, I talked about it. Someone called and they're like, "Are you watching the game?" I'm like, "No, actually, like I said, I'm at Home Depot
Yeah.
with my son and my wife, and we're buying lamps or whatever."
Yeah.
The fuck you're doing."
Yeah, and but that's what I was talking about, right? Is like this change that you make multiple changes in your life, right? Like you, from high school, you make this change into possibly being a partier, or you're really focused on school, and then you get into college, and then again, that option's there, right? Like, are you going to party, or are we going to like really focus on our education? Yeah, you can do both. It's a little bit harder, right?
Yeah.
And then it's making the switch out of college of like understanding, like, okay, you're in the real world now. You can't. You can't be that person, right? You can't be that wild boy anymore. You can't do that kind of stuff. And then it's right now my mentality shift of what I'm really trying to do, and it's hard, is not be in control. And it's hard to not want to be in control. And I think, this was a really bad last weekend. I had Michigan lose. I had the Tigers lose to the White Sox, for God's sake. And then I had the Lions lose pretty bad. And I was just like, I was so bummed for the week. And then, everything that's been happening in the media, that's just so sad. Like, just, I'm not going to get into politics, but, there's people dying and it's sad. You know what I mean? And then obviously 9/11, I still use that as like a memory of like, we got to remember that. And that was a terrible day. And so it was like a really rough week of like, but I was like sitting back yesterday on the boat, and I'm like, I don't have control over it.
Yeah.
And it's fine. And so it's like making that change. And it sounds like you made that change right when you had kids. And so we don't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still going to be bummed every time the Lions lose, and it's going to shut me down. And my wife knows it. They lose, and she's like, you have a good night. I'm like, yep, you too.
No, see, I can definitely turn that off. Like I said, it does suck. But also for the past few years, my teams haven't been good. Like the Cowboys, they lost Dak, last year, and then
thanks for that one, for being a Lions fan. Thanks Jerry.
Yeah. And then the Guardians haven't been good.
No.
They made the playoffs. That was a cool thing, but it was also, to me, it was like unexpected. So this playoff run, was a real cool thing to like be a part of. And then when it ended, and it was sad. But
that's how I felt about the Tigers.
Yeah.
Like when they lost to Cleveland, I was like, I'm okay with this. Like we weren't supposed to, we had a 0.02% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we make it to the second round, like, no, I'm good. Like you can only do so much, right? But
what does come out of those is like cool memories. Like we happened to be down in Cleveland for my buddy's 40th birthday party, and we were gonna do these other things. Like his wife was setting some stuff up, but we ended up just having a party at his house and watching the game. And my son was there, and we watched. That was the game where Skubal gave up that grand slam, and like to be like with all these Cleveland fans, like it's cool. I'm sure you experienced that before with any of your teams. Like to be with all the people that like this team and to be cheering it. It was a cool thing. My son was there and everything. So
I mean, let me ask you a question though. Is like, I maybe there was. I think if I was a Yankees fan, I would know how to answer this question. But as teams that necessarily aren't always like, oh, you're a Super Bowl contender or you are a World Series contender, which is typically Yankees, right? Going into that series, did you know, like, I don't think we're getting out of this one. Like the Yankees
against the Yankees,
I mean, that's a powerhouse of a team.
I definitely felt like it was one of those things. Like, all right, well, we as the Guardians can't mess up. Yeah. Like the Yankees have to mess things up. Yeah. Sometimes,
Do you think that made it easier to like?
Yeah, it always. For me, it does. It does make it easier. And then having conversations with my son, like, it would have been great to like move on, but this team's really good. Yeah. And obviously, they made it to the World Series.
And like, do you beat the Dodgers? With Jack Flaherty, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and like the pitching they have, like they added Jack Flaherty at the deadline. He was throwing amazing last year. He's shit this year, but. Yeah, and I think for the last couple of years, that's what's been my problem with the Lions, where, 2 years ago, we win the North, and then, we get to the championship game, and we're up majorly on San Francisco, and then we blow it. And that made it so much more defeating because I've never seen this, right? I'm 29 years old. I've never seen this in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And there's some people who are 40 who've never seen it, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is our chance. And then just the meltdown that happens, right? And I'm like, it just completely ruined me. And my only thought was, how do we bounce back from going to the NFC Championship? We have to lose in the Super Bowl, or we have to win the Super Bowl next year? So then this year came,
man,
and so it was the expectations of we went into last year where it was no, they're going to be good, and there was an awesome season, right? 15-2, and then walked in the playoffs by Jaden Daniels, and I'm like, what in the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And that was a bad night. Where that one was I think my wife actually left at halftime and was like, "You just
when the teams I like are good, yes, it is hard. When stuff's unexpected, with one that lived for me forever is when the Indians were up 3-1 in the World Series and didn't win the World Series. I'm like that,
Cubs,
right? Yeah, that'll kill me forever, especially because that's when my son got into baseball.
Yeah.
That I know, we were watching the ALCS, and just randomly, I think he was 5. He was like, "Oh, so if they hit a foul ball, they get to try again." Okay, he's paying attention.
Yeah,
That was when he started getting into baseball. My dad and I went to ALCS game 2 against the Blue Jays that year. So there's all these cool things. Yeah, and then it just doesn't end how it should end.
That was a powerhouse of a team too.
Dude, it was so fun, that whole thing, and then to end like that, that's what sucks. And then because then as a Guardians fan, it's I never feel okay, well, we're going to win a World Series. I just never feel that way because our owners don't spend money, which whatever. They spend money on the Knicks, but they don't spend money. So they don't spend money. So there's always this level of mediocrity. All right, we're just going to be here, and if we're better than this, cool.
And that's that's what frustrates me. And obviously, I'm a Tigers fan, and what frustrates me though with the Indians, or I'm sorry, the Guardians get canceled.
Either way,
is. Last year, you guys had a salary cap of 120 million, right? Whatever it was. It's not the exact number. Actually, it might be. But going into this year, you guys dropped it to 100. Why? You know what I mean? You lost players instead of bringing players in to make your team better, how close you were, right?
Yeah.
You were in the NLCS, right? What are we doing?
That's my whole life.
And so, and that's how I always feel about the Tigers, we don't want to spend money. That's how I felt about the Lions. We never want to spend money. Pistons don't want to spend money. Yeah. The Red Wings, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about the Red Wings.
So do you think the Tigers are going to sign Skubal at all?
No. There's no chance.
No?
There's no chance.
I mean, they've done it before, but were those the previous owners that signed those big contracts before?
So, yeah, but
I don't know how you do.
So I'm torn. So Skubal's signed until next year. So we still have next year, which is awesome. So we still have this window that's open, and all of our younger players are getting better, and hopefully the injuries get better. Obviously, we're still in first place, so it's not like we're out of the race.
Yeah. You just think though, because you get used to it.
Right? Could we get used to it? I was talking to my buddy Kevin, who is actually a Perrysburg junior high football coach.
Oh yeah, Settles.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's one of the baseball coaches as well. And we're talking, and he goes, can you afford to pay someone $500 million to only play 46 games?
See, everybody says that, but
and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, he goes, I know there's no salary cap, but they do have to pay it back somehow. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, but if you look at the stands now, they're actually filling the stadium, right? Yeah. So the revenue's coming in. Now, owners are selfish, and so are managers and everything else, but and when he put it into perspective like that, of yes, someone's going to pay it, but are we the team to do that? No, we're not. And he's going to end up going to a bigger market. I would love for him actually to sign with Arizona. Yeah. Because he's from Arizona, and that's where he trains and everything. So I would love for him to go out to Arizona instead of seeing him in a Yankees jersey or a Dodgers.
I don't want to see that.
No.
I agree with you.
I don't want to see the 4 big teams, right? Like you got, like I said, 5 Phillies, Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, and Boston.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to see that.
Yes,
or Padres. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, but I mean, my guys, they always get traded before that. I think that happened one time where I think Jim Tomey's the one that left. He didn't get traded. He went when he went to the Phillies. So I'm never like, I'm just expecting it. And like this year, it would have been Class A if he wouldn't have got in trouble for gambling. You know, he would have got traded. I'm surprised that they must have been asking a lot for Stephen Kwan because he was being talked about too. But you just get used to it. But at some point, like they tried to spend money years ago when they signed like I think it was Nick Swisher and one other person. I forget who it was.
Yeah, the guys who are dead from the Yankees. The
Yeah,
Yankees were like, we're not bringing you back, and then everyone's like, we'll take you.
We'll give you a big contract.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like these generational talents, like I understand what you guys are saying, but like I don't know, it'd be hard to stomach that.
So I've also now Skubal's in a different area code of what he's going to get paid and why, right? Almost back-to-back Cy Youngs. He's got a great chance for it this year. Paul Skeens is another one. But I just saw this post the other day that made me think of back in the day, if you look at hockey players, football players, it doesn't matter. The biggest contracts were not based on potential. It was based on what you actually did. You know, you had to earn that big contract. I don't know if you're a hockey fan or not, but Jeremy Roenick, right, when he was on the tail end of his career, he was getting paid like $6 million, which back in the day was a shit ton of, I mean, still a shit ton of money, but like aspect now, it's not. Yeah. It's very minimum if you're a star in the league. But he put up 20 points that year. And everyone was like, well, look at this. Like, he got paid, and, you know, everyone gets paid based off of. Hold on, I want to articulate what I'm actually going to say. Because you got guys like Javi Baez, who got paid based off of what they did in the past, but we're on the downslope, right? Yeah. And those contracts piss everyone off the most, but they make the most sense. Versus paying a guy that you have no idea what they're actually going to do in 5 years or 10 years, because these baseball contracts are 10 years, you know what I mean? But Jeremy Roenick put up 20 years in his last final year where he got a big contract, and everyone was like, well, that was a terrible contract. But every year prior to that, he was an impactful player. Like, he did what he could do. Everyone says that Sam Bennett for the Florida Panthers has one of the worst contracts in the league, and it's like $9 million. And he puts up about 40 points a year. But when you get into the playoffs, he produces. He puts up 25 points in 20 games. He puts the hits. He brings the intensity. So it's a trade-off of, yeah, you might not produce in the regular season, but we know in the playoffs you're going to produce, right? You're Mr. October, right? Sure. You know, for baseball.
Yeah.
But I find that now of like, you even saw like Jordan Love when he got paid, where it was like, what did he do? He didn't do anything. Like, you're basing him off his potential. Now he's dicing guys up left and right now. But
you do take with those contracts. You take. You're right. It is potential, but there's a window where you wait one more great year. Yeah. Now you're paying them $100 million more.
Correct.
You know, because the Guardians do that all the time. They sign their players immediately when they can.
And that's what I want the Tigers to do is like put Riley Green, put Kerry Carpenter, put Torkelson, because he's got a great comeback. Put them on a fucking 10-year deal. Yeah. Give them what, a good average price of what you think they could prosper at. Riley Green is an all-star. He was an all-star the last 2 years, so he's going to get paid a little bit more. Yeah. But lock these guys up. Don't give them a chance to go somewhere else, because what's the point? Keep your core together. And that's the thing that doesn't make sense of like Yankees fans, of like they don't understand why they aren't winning World Series. But if you looked at the Yankees when they were actually winning World Series, they had this core that was everyone gelled together. Now it's like, you're not as good as what you could be. So we're gonna go into free agency and sign someone else, and we're gonna drop you. And I can't stand that. I can't stand. That's the one thing in sports I can't stand is loyalty. There's no loyalty in anything anymore. Like
that's why Jose Ramirez will forever be my favorite Guardian, because he stayed. He could have made boatloads of money somewhere else, but he stayed, and he will forever be my favorite Guardian.
And that's why I like Miggy so much. Like Miggy, he got paid a bag and a half, but he stayed with the Tigers. Like he could have left. He could have left and went to the Yankees and made a lot more money, or went to the Dodgers. But I talk about Zach and I from our podcast. We talked about it a lot. Of loyalty and like what that looks like in sports now and how it's so different is the Yankees Red Sox rivalry. It's dead. There's no like the fans hate each other still,
yeah.
but like the players don't. Same thing with Michigan and Ohio State. That is the biggest rivalry in sports that we currently still have. But the people who are on, I mean, look at Bryce Underwood, a great example of the fact that he was going to go to LSU. Now he wanted to go to Michigan. LSU, was like, hey, we're going to pay you $8 million though to come play for us.
Yeah.
I don't. It's very hard to turn that down.
Sure.
Right? I mean, like in reality to it, it's hard to know like, oh, I could be making a lot more. You have no idea what your career is going to turn out to, right? You could get hurt
Get the
first
money
year.
when you can.
Get the money when you can.
Yeah.
But, it goes to Michigan. But like, is that hatred for Ohio State really there? Because we used to recruit based on like the areas, right? Like everyone was in the areas, and that might have been why the SEC was so good for so many years. But, the actual like wanting to go to the university you grew up like cheering for and hating the other people within your division. And that's the same thing with it would be hockey, baseball, basketball, right? Like Detroit and Indiana, right? Like they hated each other for so long. The brawl in the palace, right? And that's the one thing I'm really frustrated with sports is like there's no loyalty, which I understand. Get your money when you can, but I wish these GMs would just cough up some more money to like keep the nostalgia to like what the sport is. Like you didn't have to be a Yankees Red Sox fan to enjoy that game,
That rivalry,
right? Enjoy that playoff series where their benches might clear at any point, right? You don't know. Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Texas, right? The Red River, where like it is hatred. It's pure hatred against each other. And now you got guys who grew up a Texas fan, they're going to Oklahoma, and now they're like, oh, I hate Texas. And it's like, how? How? You can't hate Texas. It's me going to Ohio State going, I hate Michigan. No, I can't hate Michigan. Like, I get it's a mentality switch, but it's just goofy.
Yeah, I agree there is some of that because now you're like, when you see, oh, here's our favorite player on X team, like, oh, he's our favorite player, but he's only been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like it is a weird thing, and I think it is more. I think it's more prevalent in college to have more rivalries than in pro sports because of what you were just talking about. Because I think that still exists. Like we have a guy right now on our football team who is a big time recruit, big time offensive lineman, and he's an Ohio State fan, and the way he talks about wanting to go out of Ohio State is because of that. Like he grew up liking them, and he wants to go there, and he wants to play there, and he wants to put those.
He wants to be able to say
you know?
that is my team.
Yeah,
right. We don't always have the opportunity of saying no. That's just another thing that frustrates me in sports. It's like when you say we and people are like, "What do you even go there?" And it's like, no, but like the admission rate to Michigan is so high, like it's so low. Like I can't get in there. Like I'm not a doctor.
You feel part of it.
Yeah, you do feel. I mean, I always claim Michigan because we grew up in the big house. My family had season tickets for like 25 years, so I grew up. I remember my first game was against Northwestern. We beat the living shit out of them. Chad Henning just throwing darts down. But I think that's, and I think college is getting worse though. And I think college is setting the tone for how the pros are. And I think there was a switch when NIL happened, and obviously everyone knows that in the transfer portal, which has ruined college football. Is for the pros, there was always this stigma where everyone was like, "Oh, I only watch college because the pros are divas and they only want money and that's all they're playing for." Yeah, what are these college kids doing now? Because Carson Beck is terrible.
Yeah.
And he switched from being at Georgia. Now, they probably told him you need to leave because you're just terrible. But you're switching schools for money, right? You're switching schools. They're offering you more incentives. That's why you're seeing the transfer portal as it's changed, how it's more active. There's 600 people in the transfer portal by January. And it's like, how don't you have the loyalty to stay? But then it's getting your money when you can, because these aren't top recruits, right? These aren't the guys that are going to the NFL, because typically they stay for the most part. But I think there's been a switch where it's college doesn't care as much.
I don't care. Like if you want to go to another school, fine, go to. It doesn't bother me because for years. and you might make this argument for years, like, well, they're getting a free education. Okay, but they're also making millions of dollars off the back of this kid who's getting $100,000 education. Sure. I feel like if you want to make your money. If there's no loyalty to the coaches. The coaches can leave at the drop of a hat.
I got a problem with that too.
Yeah.
Well, especially with college. Like, with all of them, they can just we're done. Like now in basketball, it's not like that. They get fired. Baseball, it's not like that. You are signed to a contract. I don't know how football contracts are looked at in any level of things, but there's no like, you have to pay this back. I mean, look at Coach O for LSU, right? Wins them a national championship, and they go, hey, we don't really want you here anymore. We want Brian Kelly, which is the worst mistake they could have made. And he's asking, there goes $17 million to leave. And he goes, okay, what door?
Yeah,
what door can I go out of? Because I won't return, but I just need to know what one you want me to go out of.
Yeah.
And I think I'm never mad at people transferring for the aspect of wanting to get playing time. Maybe it's just not working. Maybe your coach leaves and that's who you're recruited to, and now you're back in the portal. I understand that, and I agree. They should be getting paid to a certain level. But I also feel that, yes, you are getting a free education. That's besides the point, because most of these guys don't graduate. They don't even.
Correct.
You know what I mean? I also feel like that's a problem too. And college basketball is the worst, or college football, basketball is the worst for it, right? Yeah. You just have to stay 1 year, and it's like
you're there for a semester,
and that's why you don't pan out in the league.
Yeah.
The idea of in the NBA, and this pisses me off. I don't watch the NBA, but it is like you just trade like 15 years of first round draft picks. Like the Lakers, for example, 15 years of first-round draft picks for one star. And it's like, yeah, I would take that deal too, but you can't guarantee a good prospect in the first round, especially if you're a good team, right? You're drafting at 30 or drafting at 25, where those guys aren't difference makers, and they don't have a big enough minor leagues like baseball, right? Neither is football, but to develop the players to change their game into a pro style offense or defense, whatever it is. But yeah, I don't.
I see it like, because you're right. A lot of them won't graduate. Now they do have to stay 3 years. So at least it's like the NBA, right? But like for me and you, if someone offered me more money to do the job I'm doing now, if it's enough. See ya.
Yeah.
Like, it's a job. It's turned into a job, right or wrong. That's just how it's turned into a job where it's like, well, this at company X over here is offering me more money to do my job that I'm doing now. If you guys want me that bad, then offer me more money. If not, then I'm going to go get more money.
And I think that's the problem I have is before college football wasn't a job, right? It was the way to get a job. And again, I don't have a problem with people making money, like having these kids make money, because they should. They should be able to make some sort of revenue based on all the millions of dollars that the university is getting back on them. Yeah. My problem is that you can do it 4 times.
Yeah. It is a lot. Now
that's excessive.
They also changed. I thought I saw somewhere that there's one transfer opportunity and it's a lot shorter now. I think they changed some of that.
But I think that's going into next year.
Correct.
But you still saw it this year. You guys that are in school for 8 years. No degree.
That's
no degree.
That's wild to me.
No degree. You're in school for 8 years. You're 20. I mean, Penix. Look at Penix from the Falcons, right? The oldest quarterback going into the draft. Hayden Hooker, another older quarterback. Like you're looking at 24 years old.
There's some of these guys. Yeah, there's like playing 8. They're 8, but it's like now they're in like 1AA or something.
Yeah.
Too, like
So that's the part that frustrates me is like I think one transfer is fine unless you're going into the school year. Like if you're a freshman or if you were about to transfer. So let's say you were going to transfer to my university and you're going into your junior year and I leave during the off season. I believe you have the right to be able to go and transfer to a different school, right? Because you promised to play for me. That's what you wanted. And I bought you into that. So now a new coach comes in, you might not even get the playing time, you might not fit the scheme. I get that. And that happened with who's the kid that was going to go to Bama and was when Saban stepped down?
I don't remember.
Is that Sang? Was that Julian Sang? I don't know. But he committed to go there, and then out of nowhere, he switch it, and it's like the reason why though is his coach wasn't there. So I get that. I also understand if you need playing time, like if you have an opportunity of going somewhere that's hey, we're going to put you as a starter. I get that. And I there's, like I said, there's some understanding elements to it. My problem is the guy who, he's just doing it for the money. He's still having the playing time. He's still doing this. There's no actual reason besides, I just don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And I get it. The money aspect's there. I get it. Yeah. And it's definitely a job, right? And I don't know. There's a lot of thoughts, and there's obviously there's variables to everything.
Sure,
and so it makes it a little bit more difficult to have a defined answer. But I think for a transfer, I think you should get one actual free transfer. If within that transfer process, if your coach leaves, you have the right to transfer to another school, and then
which they used to do. They used to grant waivers.
Right,
kind of stuff,
great, yeah. And that's the portal wasn't a problem before, right? It wasn't the wild west. It was okay. You got your coach left. You have the opportunity to leave. Take it. XYZ, whatever.
I think that's a big thing. The big thing is when they did it, there was no rules on it, and now they're trying to scale everything back, which is probably good, but they probably should have had a plan before they initiated this thing.
But you know what? That's what the NCAA does all the time.
Yeah,
they just go, fuck it. Fuck it. We'll just see how this goes.
Yeah,
and it's terrible. And that's why Saban stepped out. Saban stepped out of saying, obviously Shane Gillis poked fun at him.
Yeah.
But he's he said, I don't want to recruit like that. Yeah. I don't want to recruit based off money. I want to recruit based off excellence. And this is the best program in the country. Obviously Shane Gillis poked the fun at him. Well, now that everyone can pay, the SEC is that good. And he didn't find that funny whatsoever.
Alabama Jones,
right? And he's like, first off, I never paid any players. And he's like, dude, I was just joking.
Is this not a fun show? I thought this was a fun show.
Yeah. I want to, I don't know if you've picked up on this, but I feel like Nick Saban is Pat McAfee's dad on the show.
So that was someone I think it was Bill Simmons when he talked about it, because he talked about, I can't remember if Bill Simmons or somebody else, Lee Corso leaving. Yeah. It was Lee Corso and Kirk Herbstreit.
Yep.
Coach, player. Yep. And they said that's what it is now, is Nick Saban and Pat McAfee.
Yep. I said that to one of my good buddies the other day, and he's like, I've never noticed that, but I think you're right. Yeah. I'm like, Nick can get him to calm himself back down, right? Yeah. To bring him back to reality, because Kurt's a church boy, right? He's a choir boy. He's not doing anything wrong, but it's that's still that mentorship. And Pat is a wild boy, right? Yeah. He's into everything he can get his hands on. He's electric. Mm-hmm. But I think of the video, I don't know if you saw it, but I watched it live of they had their big pointer sticks, right?
Yeah.
And he pulls it out and he hits Saban. Saban just whacks him right back, and he's like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. I enjoy it, and I love that Pat's making the last pick from now on, because he brings that energy.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was an easy transition.
Yeah, it was.
Well, before we go, you mentioned your shoulder. Is your shoulder still messed up, or did you get it fixed?
No, it's not okay. It's not as messed up, but for the last month, I've been really we've been busy, so I haven't been able to do anything. I haven't been able to golf, I haven't been able to fish or anything like that. We've just been running around with our head cut off. So I think some rest really did it justice. I heard it in the gym, and then I went to help pitching with the school that I was working with, just for fun. And then I was a pitcher back in high school, and I just tried to get a little carried away.
Cranking it up a little bit.
Yeah, I cranked it up a little bit. And actually, I stopped playing baseball because of my shoulder.
Yeah.
Because of a rotator cuff injury. And, these kids were chirping me, and I was like, I want to see if I, I hadn't thrown a baseball in 10 years, I was kind of geeked about it. Yeah. And, so I heard it in the gym, and then a month and a half later, I was feeling so much better, and I went in there 2 hours after I was done pitching. I couldn't move my arm. Genuinely, I couldn't move my shoulder up. I couldn't do anything, and I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah, yeah.
So it feels better.
Okay, well,
it hurts
good.
to sleep on, but it's fine. It's fine. I need to go to the doctor just to have him shoot it up with a cortisol shot or something like that, and it'll be fine. But,
life.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle, I appreciate you coming on here. This is good time talking, especially about, like I said, I like fishing, so it's cool to hear someone that's super into it. It was a good conversation. So thanks for coming out here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. If you want to reach out or be on the show, just search The Nerdball Podcast on any social media. If you want to email us, that is thenerdballpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always YouTube, so you can go on there, subscribe to The Nerdball Podcast, and watch the podcast every week. As always, thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Cuttlefish Graphics, Big Daddy Graphics, and Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab for always supporting the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.